dodged what would have been a life sentence. Despite having over 30 witnesses testifying against him, the jury did not find him guilty on the more serious charges. Racketeering conspiracy, he was found not guilty. Apparently couldn't reach an agreement on the racketeering conspiracy, which is one of the more serious crimes, and would have gave him life in prison.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man. Comment down below. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Here's some information that may change the way you see the world. Okay, this one definitely did not seem real to me, but poopin', shartin', fartin' in Hindi translates to full terms and conditions in English. To be in the global top 1% by income, you only need to earn $33,000 a year. The closest star to the sun is 4 light years away. Voyager launched 48 years ago, and it hasn't even traveled 1 light day yet. Shaq wanted to take classes in person instead of online to get his master's degree, but the university told him that they needed at least 15 students to open up a physical class. So he paid for 15 of his friends to also earn their master's degrees. Shaq is the ultimate representation of just doing all of the side quests in life. A man was wrongly jailed for 17 years until lawyers found the look-alike actual convict that had the same first name. He got $1 million in compensation for his 17 years. Is that enough?
Nah, not nearly. 17 M's.
Things from our 90s childhood kids today wouldn't understand. Cereal boxes with toys in them. Listening to the radio and getting ready to press record when your favorite song was played. Recording a TV program on a blank VHS tape. The dial-up internet, and not being able to get on the internet if someone was on the phone. Looking in your local newspaper for cinema shows or calling the automated phone line. Carrying our music around in one of these. Taking pictures and waiting a week to see them. Getting the football scores from teletext. Booking a holiday at a travel agent, finding a film to watch at Blockbuster,
Classic.
Circling what you wanted for Christmas in the Argos catalog, going out to play and coming home when the street lights came on.
I only know the Blockbuster and the cereal toys.
Things that only 0.01% of people can do. Touching your nose with your tongue. Yeah, I can't do it. Apparently some people can't just raise one eyebrow. I think I can do it. And apparently some people can't cross their eyes, and I'm pretty sure I just did it. Sneeze with your eyes open. Okay, that's impossible. Nobody can do that. Apparently rolling your tongue is super rare. So apparently I'm a rare person. Apparently some people can bend their hand upwards. How is that possible?
Facts that I wish I didn't know. While you're just scrolling right now, your tongue is most likely suctioned to the roof of your mouth. Memories can get passed down through genes, so that weird fear you have might be a fear that your ancestor had a reason to be afraid of. Most spiders shed an exoskeleton, so whenever you find like a dead spider, it's most likely just an empty husk and there's a slightly bigger spider somewhere nearby. In America, more kids die from gun violence than cancer, and toddlers kill twice as many Americans with guns than terrorists do.
Where we at? Late at night. Getting a bad vibe off this.
Most people believe these 3 things will save your life. They don't. Let's pretend that you're on vacation with some friends in this cabin, and you hear on the news that there's actually a killer on the loose in the woods surrounding your cabin. what do? Instinctively, you're going to want to ditch your friends and just start running into the woods. No shoes, no weapons, no cell phone, no sense of where you're going. But that's actually a terrible idea because the killer is in the woods. And you'd be putting yourself more in harm's way, not less. So you decide to stay put, and then you remember that your friend drove you all to the cabin in their brand new Lamborghini that was working like 5 minutes ago. So why can't you just pile into that and drive away to safety? The problem with that is anytime you're in a cabin in the woods and there's a killer on the loose around your cabin, even if it's a brand new car, it's not going to start. So don't even go out and try it. You're just sitting in the cabin doing nothing when all of a sudden you feel like someone could be watching you and you want to turn around and make sure no one is. Don't turn around because if you do, the killer will magically appear behind you.
So you have no way out, that's what you're saying.
That TikToker named Rory Teasley was murdered the day he posted that chilling final video. So, a little bit of a backstory. Rory was known on TikTok as Too Pumped for TV. Before his tragic and unfortunate murder, Rory had amassed over 265,000 followers here on TikTok. As you can see, his videos got a lot of views. He was just posting this wholesome, positive content that he wanted to brighten people's days. So, Rory lived in Pontiac, Michigan, which is nearby Detroit. But unfortunately, on January 6, 2022, Rory's life would be ended abruptly. On that day, Rory was playing the game Overwatch with his boyfriend, DeQuinn Watkins. Now, at some point during the gameplay that evening, DeQuinn and Rory got into some sort of an argument. And DeQuinn just took this a step far and began to strangle Rory. Eventually, this ended with Rory being strangled to death on the couch in his home. And later that evening, DeQuinn called 911 and reported that his boyfriend was sleeping on the couch and wouldn't wake up. When authorities arrived at the home, they found Rory lying unconscious on the couch. When he was taken to the hospital, yes, he was pronounced dead. So this trial happened pretty quickly, and just this year, DeQuinn pled no contest to second-degree murder charges, and he was quickly sentenced to 15 to 99 years in prison. It's unclear what caused this argument over a video game to escalate into a murder, but sadly Rory died that day. And people online are still trying to preserve his memory by reposting his TikToks and sharing his story. And yeah, this is just another tragic TikTok story that obviously did not need to happen and should never happen.
Over Overwatch though, a video game. People have to be
Diddy just dodged what would have been a life sentence. Despite having over 30 witnesses testifying against him, the jury did not find him guilty on the more serious charges. Racketeering conspiracy, he was found not guilty. Sex trafficking against Cassie Ventura, he was found not guilty. Transportation to engage in prostitution with Cassie, guilty. Sex trafficking of Jane, not guilty. And lastly, transportation to engage in prostitution with Jane, he was found guilty. The jurors apparently couldn't reach an agreement on the racketeering conspiracy, which is one of the more serious crimes, and would have gave him life in prison, which I'm finding so difficult to understand because there was so much evidence just on the racketeering alone. This means that he only faces a maximum potential sentence of 20 years, but it's predicted that he might even get less than that because of his clean criminal history.
Let's be real. How much time do you guys think that Diddy's gonna be doing? It wouldn't surprise me, man. I keep saying, people keep saying you're gonna get less than 5 years. I don't know. This case is just crazy. I thought with all the things that they had on him that it was gonna go a different way, but you know how the justice system works. It's wonky sometimes. It goes up and down.
3 people that you won't believe exist. This Indian woman has a condition that makes her grow extra fingers and extra toes inside the womb. Altogether, this woman has 31 fingers and toes. And this person's huge jaws is actually from a medical condition. The condition is called cherubism. Doctors were shocked when this man walked into the emergency room with severe chest pain. And after some ultrasounds to see what was causing his pain, they actually found out that this man had 2 hearts.
2 hearts? What the heck?
Scientists have just made the first ever human pig. Scientists at the Salk Institute made a major breakthrough with bioengineering. They have created a part human, part pig embryo with both human and pig DNA. Although this sounds and looks terrifying, this could actually save so many of us. This is because we may now be able to harvest human tissue and organs to address the worldwide shortage of organ donors.
Nah, but mixing species, that's going down a slippery slope. I don't like that at all. Somebody can take that way too far. We've seen the movies, we know what happened.
This is the story of the worst shark attack in human history. On July 16, 1945, the USS Indianapolis was on a secret mission to bring parts and machinery to help construct the atomic bombs. These bombs, of course, would end the Second World War just a month later. The ship was in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and en route to a couple of islands off the coast of Asia. And on board the ship was over 1,100 US Navy soldiers. However, on the night of the 16th, a Japanese submarine launched a torpedo which struck the USS Indianapolis. And within just 12 minutes, the entire ship was completely sunken underwater. And about 300 out of the 1,100 men on board couldn't escape the ship in time. And the other 900 or so men were stranded floating in the middle of the ocean. And within a few minutes, it became apparent to the soldiers that there were hundreds of hungry sharks right below them. Screams began to be heard coming from almost every direction in the pitch-black darkness. And hundreds of soldiers began to be picked off one by one. When it was all said and done, only 317 men survived the disaster, meaning that close to 600 men were killed by sharks that night. Which is why...
Where they at? Shark
This is
Creek or
why you
something?
should always trust your gut. In the early 1970s, a college student decided to hitchhike his way home after class. A car pulls up, a man offers him a ride, and he climbs in. As soon as the car started moving, the student felt totally uneasy, like something was wrong but he couldn't quite place it. Without saying anything, he waited till the next time they slowed down and he flung the door open and ran away. 2 years later, he's flicking through TV channels when he comes across this special interview with a death row inmate. And it's just the audio recording, so he hears the interviewer ask the inmate, "Why did you remove all the door handles inside of your car?" The man just goes, "Well, the first time I tried to kill someone, I picked up a college hitchhiker who got smart at some point and jumped out of my car. So, lesson learned, remove all the door handles." When they showed his picture, the student knew immediately that he was supposed to be the first victim of John Wayne Gacy, aka the Killer Clown, who had killed over 30 men and boys in his clown room and stuffed them into his basement.
Trust your gut, man. Always.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Episode 21. Number 1. The black box. In every aircraft, there is something known as a black box. And before every plane crash, the black box stores recordings of passengers screaming before they die. The most common word that black boxes recorded before a crash is the word mama. Number 2. Bodies are sometimes found in hotel beds. Guests from different countries from around the world have reported foul smells in their bedrooms, only to discover a corpse stuffed inside the mattress after sleeping on it for days. Number 3. People who wake up during surgery. Anesthetic awareness. It is a medical term known for when patients wake up mid-surgery and they feel everything, including the pain. But because of the anesthesia, they are unable to move nor speak. Number 4. There are hundreds of active serial killers walking free right now. The FBI estimates that at least 2,000 active serial killers are currently uncaught around the world. Number
Crazy.
5. There's a 1 in 3 chance your house has hidden mold that can affect your brain. Long-term exposure has been linked to hallucinations, memory loss, and paranoia, and most people never find out about the mold until it's too late. Number 6. Sometimes bodies aren't buried, they're stored and forgotten. In some hospital morgues, unclaimed bodies are stacked in freezers for years until they're either cremated without a name or sold for research. Number 7. There are people who fake being dead and live among corpses. They are known as necrosadists. They sneak into morgues or graveyards at night, not to harm, but to feel close to the dead. Number 8. Cameras sometimes capture things the eye can't see. Paranormal investigators have caught unexplained figures, shadows, and even faces in rooms that were completely empty. Some claim it's the only time jinns make themselves visible. If you want more, like and follow for episode 22.
You dropping some stuff, especially about the thing about
I always knew not to believe
stuff.
everything that I see on social media, but this story about this guy who manipulated thousands of women by pretending to be something he wasn't is absolutely insane. I don't know if you guys have heard about this TikToker who created content preaching about healthy relationships and teaching men how to be better partners, and he portrayed himself as being this caring and respectful man. Well, he recently murdered his ex-girlfriend. The crazy part about this story is that I actually know of a woman who was supposed to fly out from Toronto to Miami to meet this man sometime before he took his ex-girlfriend's life. Thank God she didn't go. This guy's name is Joy Chandranath. He's 29 years old, and this happened in Miami, and he stabbed his ex-girlfriend. She was 24 years old, and her name was Maria Camila Garcia Molina, in her car, and apparently her 3-year-old daughter was in the car and saw everything. Her daughter was found wandering alone on the street, and she was covered in her mother's blood, and they later found Maria's body in her car with stab wounds all over. Police arrested this man after Maria's daughter told them that her mother was with Joy and then she fell asleep. Investigators said that Maria had a restraining order against this man when he began stalking her after she ended things in November 2024. Before her death, Maria found an AirTag in her car and she caught this man hiding near her house several times. When they arrested him, he had scratches all over his face and he also had Maria's phone and purse on him, but he said that she had gave it to him that morning. Like I said, I know of someone who met this man on a dating app on Facebook. I guess it's like Facebook dating. And she was supposed to fly out from Toronto to Miami to go meet him, but she completely cut him off before this thing happened after another girl reached out to her to tell her that he was also talking to her at the same time. And apparently he was talking to so many women at the same time. He was charged with second-degree murder and he's in the Miami-Dade County Jail and he has no bond. I think it's very common for people to meet on dating apps nowadays. I mean, I've done it, but it's very important to always be aware and know that there are risks because you don't know who this person is at the end of the day. People are so unhinged nowadays and someone can put up this whole facade about themselves on social media or a dating app and you wouldn't even know it. And this is my own personal opinion, but I would never fly out to go meet anyone. I think the risks are a lot higher. You're going to a different country to see someone that you've never seen before. If anything, they're coming here where I feel safe and I have family.
Be careful, man. Catfishes out to get you. Like she said, man, somebody could put up a facade on the internet, but in person, that's a whole different reality.
Crazy part is, most people believe that these 3 things will actually save your life. They don't. Let's pretend you're lost in the desert and you need water and you don't have any. So where are some places you can get water? One commonly held terrible piece of advice is to drink your own pee, because it's mostly made up of water, except there's 5% of that that's all made up of just waste from your body, and even though the urine might keep you alive a little bit longer, you'll ultimately die of kidney failure. So you don't drink your own pee. Instead, you head over to some cactus you see nearby because you remember reading or hearing in school that you can drink the water inside of cactus. Except, unless it's one really specific kind of cactus, you'll be drinking lots of alkaloids and chemicals that will make you viciously ill, and you'll start vomiting and you'll have diarrhea and you'll die from dehydration much faster. So as you're sitting there wondering what you're going to do next, a venomous snake bites you. And so you instinctively start sucking on the bite to remove the poison, but you can't because it goes right in your bloodstream, and all you'll do is die much faster from infection.
Man, all the stuff we learned.
Here's what would happen if you did not blink for 30 days. As your eyeballs start to dry out, tiny particles will settle down on the surface and begin to scratch it. The cornea of your eye is very delicate and it will begin to feel like it's burning. Tears will then begin to flow like a waterfall, trying to wash away all the particles. As the days pass and your cornea dries out, the sharpness of your eyes will decrease. The final result may be irreversible damage that may cause you to lose your eyesight forever. Now comment the longest time you can go without blinking.
Like a minute, probably. Maybe only 30 seconds.
Medusa has a real sad story. She didn't always look like the monster we know her as. She was an innocent woman who was a victim of cruelty. She was the most beautiful woman in the world who dedicated her life to worshipping Athena in her temple. But one day as she was walking by the shore, Poseidon caught a glimpse of her and fell in love. But she rejected his advances and tried to continue her life worshipping Athena at her temple. But within the temple of Athena, Poseidon forced himself onto Medusa. And Athena, who was already quite jealous of Medusa's beauty, basically blamed Medusa for what happened and turned her into the monster we know her as. I actually went deeper into this in my new U space tube video. It might help you understand why Perseus, the glorified hero, slayed an innocent woman.
Some deep Greek mythology, little.
Three true stories behind popular myths. Part 1. Number 3. The Trojan Horse. The tale of the Trojan Horse is a famous myth from the Trojan War. This story, however, is believed to be based on real military tactics used during ancient times. Some historians suggest that the horse was not an actual wooden horse, but rather a battering ram or a siege tower. These were common tools used in warfare to infiltrate and break down the defenses of cities, such as Troy. The tale of the Trojan horse has been passed down through generations and continues to be a symbol of deception and strategic warfare. Number 2. King Arthur. The legendary King Arthur, known for his Knights of the Round Table and his noble deeds, is believed to be based on a real historical figure. There are various theories about who this figure might have been. Some suggest he was a Roman military leader who demonstrated exceptional bravery and leadership. Others propose that he was a Celtic warrior who valiantly defended Britain against the onslaught of Saxon invaders. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the legend of King Arthur continues to captivate audiences worldwide. Number 1. The Fountain of Youth. The myth of a magical spring that restores youth and vitality is widespread across cultures. It's thought to be inspired by real-life rejuvenating practices, such as bathing in hot springs. These natural phenomena were believed to have healing properties, providing relief from various ailments and potentially slowing the aging process. The allure of eternal youth has always been a powerful motif in human mythology and storytelling, and the Fountain of Youth is one of its most enduring symbols.
True that. And how many stories I've heard about the
So some
Fountain of
global
Youth?
scientists came together and wrote out what they think are going to be the most threatening issues of 2023. Let's go through it. Number 10 is water. Some people aren't going to have enough, and other people are going to have way too much. It's going to put some stress on agriculture and probably displace a lot of people from their homes. Number 9 is TikTok. Millennials and Gen Z are far more progressive than any other generation we've seen before. With the power of the internet and using that for activism, there's been a big scare in people of power. Enough so that they're still trying to ban the app. Number 8 is America. We're so divided, but it's ranked so low because experts aren't really too panicked about it. The majority of Americans are somewhere in the middle rather than on the really loud extremes. And all those insurrectionist politicians got voted out, so no constitutional crisis here. Yet. At number 7, we got stunted global development. The last 50 years have seen a lot of growth in terms of education, healthcare, and safety, but the middle class is shrinking just as fast as it appeared. And experts say in the almost 3 years it's been since the pandemic that we've gone backwards in human development about 5 years. Number 6 is going to be energy. Europe isn't buying Russia's oil anymore, and they're not going to. And this is driving up prices on a global scale. That and gas companies just blatantly overcharging us. Number 5 is Iran. They were full of demonstrations after the morality police murdered Mahsa Amini. And ever since, the women there have been fighting for their liberation. But the government isn't listening to the words of their people and instead just blaming America. And the president directly helping Putin invade Ukraine is just the extra added layer of what the f***. Number 3 is misinformation. Now, it's not the intention of social media or these AI tools to make people believe in conspiracy theories, but it is the unintended consequence of the business model. And because of this, the whole democracy thing is being questioned not just in the United States, but around the whole world. Number 2 is the fact that Xi Jinping has gotten rid of term limits and made it to where he is the leader of China for life. He has surrounded himself with Communist Party yes-men and even kicked out the previous president. This isn't even how China was ran just 10 years ago, and the chances of this going down a dark path are very high. At number 1, we got Russia going rogue. Putin is completely isolated and shut them off from the rest of the world, while they're completely losing the war that they started. They're seen as war criminals, but they're not going anywhere. Nobody's gonna kick Putin out of office. They have the most nuclear warheads out of anybody in the world. Because of this, NATO is consolidating and tensions are high.
I want to talk about one of the darkest videos on the internet. This is a 70-year-old video of a man suffering from rabies, and it has kind of a crazy backstory. Now, I talk about this video in an episode I just did for the Heart Starts Pounding podcast about how terrifying rabies is, but this was a video put out by the U.S. Army Medical Service in 1955. It features an Iranian man who was bitten by a rabid wolf that attacked his village. All in all, there were 29 men in this village that got rabies from this wolf. So the US Army filmed this training video over the next several days to show people what it was like when someone contracts rabies and doesn't get the vaccine in time. And one of the scariest parts of the video is right here when the man starts showing the scariest symptom of rabies, which is hydrophobia. Hydrophobia is a fear of water that is incredibly common in rabies patients. Basically, thinking about water or even looking at it causes really painful spasms in the person's throat, so it looks like they're afraid of it. And that's actually why some people used to think that rabies was demonic, because priests would throw holy water on patients and they would have these really extreme reactions to it. Eventually, after a few days, the man did succumb to the illness because rabies is almost 100% fatal if not treated with a vaccine pretty much immediately. And if you want to learn more about the history of rabies or how terrifying it is, or even some more illnesses that kind of hijack your brain, check out this episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
He would dress up as a clown for children, but no one knew he had 27 bodies underneath his home. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17th of 1942 in Chicago. The household that he grew up in was not good at all because his father, who was a World War II veteran, would constantly beat him. At the age of 11, John had a playground accident, and this led him with a blood clot in his brain, and this would trigger blackouts. He seemed to be always socially isolated, and he always wanted approval from his father. By 1966, John turned his life around. He got married, had 2 stepchildren, and even owned a KFC franchise. To everyone around John, he seemed to be charming, always ready to lend a hand, but this was all a front. That same year, John had lured a teenage boy to his home and SA'd him. When that teenage boy tried to report the crime, John hired another teenager to go and beat him up. Despite those efforts, the case moved forward and John pled guilty and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Out of those 10 years, he only served 18 months. While in prison, John became the head cook and he charmed the prison staff and they gave him early parole. His wife ended up divorcing him, his father passed away, and he wasn't allowed to go to his funeral. In 1970, he returned to Chicago with a clean slate, but he had some sinister plans. In 1972, John remarried and moved into a small home in Norwood Park. He launched a contracting business called PDM Contractors and focused on hiring teen boys. Most of these teenage boys came from broken homes, were runaways, all were vulnerable. From the outside looking in, John seemed like a great neighbor. He would always host barbecues. He would even dress up as a clown and go to children's hospitals to cheer up children, but no one knew that he was making a torture chamber. On December 11th of 1978, 15-year-old Robert Pierce vanished after his shift at a pharmacy. He told his mom he was going to speak with a contractor about a job, but he never returned home. Detectives were called and police showed up at John's home. John denied ever meeting Robert, but once they did a background check on him, it showed his previous conviction. Once they got a search warrant to search his home, they found IDs from missing boys, they found a book called Pretty Boys Must Die, handcuffs, clothing, and a high school class ring from one of the missing boys. There was a crawl space in the home and it reeked, but John claimed it was just the sewage. Once they checked the crawl space, they found human remains. Police recovered 27 bodies underneath his home, 1 was in the yard, and 5 more were in a nearby river. John would lure victims with promises of alcohol, work, or clown tricks. John would use chloroform to knock them out, he would torture them, SA them, and strangle them. He would bury them underneath his floorboards, put on a smile, dress up as a clown, and go to children's hospitals. On February 6 of 1980, John's trial began and his defense claimed insanity. Finally, on March 13th, after 2 hours of deliberation, he was found guilty and sentenced to death.
John Wayne Gacy, that is more crazy.
Let me tell you some things that you probably didn't know. A man named Joel Berger married a woman named Ashley King, and Burger King paid for the wedding. A 3-year-old boy playing with his dad's metal detector found a 16th century gold pendant that was worth $4 million. In Norway, every citizen's tax record is public, so you can just literally check how much money your neighbor makes. Norway is also the first and only country to ban deforestation. There was a baby born at 7:11 p.m. on July 11th, weighing 7 pounds 11 ounces, that received $7,111 for college from 7-Eleven. Single women own more homes in the United States than single men. A woman had her 20 boyfriends buy her 20 iPhones, then sold them to make a down payment on a house. That's how so many single women are buying the houses. The webcam was literally invented by 3 people who wanted to remotely check their coffee's pot level without having to walk to their break room.
That's crazy, especially about the fact that she got men to buy her house, man. 20 guys, bro, bought an iPhone. She finessed all of them. That's sad.
She took the life of her coworker over some Lululemon leggings. On March 12th of 2011, just before 8 a.m., Rachel walked to a Lululemon store in Maryland where she was the manager at. Once she got to the front door, she noticed it was already unlocked. Once Rachel went inside, she noticed that the clothing racks were scattered all over the floor, mannequins were in pieces on the floor, and she could hear a faint moan in the back of the store. Rachel was terrified. She turned around, ran outside, and called 911. Right next door to that Lululemon was an Apple store, and a guy named Ryan worked there as a security guard, and he saw how frantic Rachel was, and he told her that he would go inside to see what was going on. Once Ryan went inside, he followed a trail of blood to the back room, and that's when he found the store supervisor, Jana, unalived. As Ryan turned around to leave, he saw another employee, Brittany Norwood, and she was lying in the employee bathroom. Her hands were zip-tied, her shirt was pulled up, and there was a Lululemon t-shirt around her neck. Although Jana did not survive this attack, Brittany was okay. Once police arrived, Jana was pronounced dead at the scene, and she suffered from 331 wounds from 5 different weapons, including a wrench and a hammer. 200 of those wounds were on her face and her neck, and 100 of them were defense wounds. Jana was alive for the entire attack until a fatal stab wound hit her spinal cord. As for Brittany, she had a gash on her forehead. She received stitches for it and was released from the hospital that same day. Everyone just assumed that this was a robbery gone wrong, but this was far from the truth. On the night of the attacks, Jana and Brittany were working the closing shift together, and around 9:30 p.m. they closed up and left. Once they left, Brittany had realized she left something back inside of the store, and since Jana was the only one with the keys, she asked her to come back to open the door for her. Jana unlocked the door and disabled the alarm. As Jana and Brittany were looking around the store, 2 masked men came in, and they were all wearing black. Allegedly, these guys beat Jana to death, essayed both of the girls, and let Brittany live because she was more fun to do it with. Apparently, this was Brittany's story to police, but police weren't really buying it. When Brittany told police that there was 2 masked men that came in, they started to investigate the place and only saw 2 footprints, which would be Brittany's shoes and a men's size 14 shoes. There was no evidence of SA from either woman, and on Brittany, it wasn't her own blood, it was Jana's. Brittany was caught in a lie, and eventually the truth came out. On the night of the attacks, Jana saw Brittany stuff a pair of Lululemon leggings in her purse and confronted her about it. Once they locked up the store, Jana got in her car, called her manager Rachel to tell her what she had saw Brittany do. A few minutes later, Jana received a call from Brittany telling her she had left something in the store, and that's when Jana turned around to go open the store for her. While Brittany pretended to search for her item, she attacked Jana from behind. She stabbed, beat, and choked Jana for 17 minutes. That night, employees at the Apple store nearby could hear screaming, and they just figured it was nothing. They thought it was just drama going on at the Lululemon store. Once Brittany took Jana's life, she went into her car and moved it. Meanwhile, she was thinking of a plan to stage the scene. She grabbed Jana's blood and put it all over her face, and she cut a hole in the crotch of her leggings. Finally, she grabbed a men's size 14 shoe and walked around the back room to leave footprints to hopefully throw off police. Once Brittany was all done, she zip-tied herself and laid down on the bathroom floor, waiting to be discovered 10 hours later. Brittany ended up being arrested about a week later, and she admitted to everything, that she had just lost it at the heat of the moment. Brittany was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Been out of her head. Hi, my name is Ethan, and we'll be talking about disturbing facts so sinister I stopped sleeping.
Okay.
Number 1, since the 1980s, there's been estimated over 220,000 unsolved serial killers in the United States. Number 2, when Disney first opened the new Pirates of the Caribbean ride in the 1960s, for props, they used real human skeleton remains. They claimed that the real ones were so much better than the props that they had. Eventually, they filtered them out and got fake ones. Number 3, Mount Everest is not only the highest viewpoint in the world, but it's also the highest graveyard. It's estimated that there are over 150 bodies buried in the snow.
Disturbing facts you wish you never knew. You have tiny
Chilling.
skin mites that come out at night and do the thing on your face. A 10-second kiss on the lips can pass on 80 million bacteria, some unknown to scientists. Good thing you don't have to worry about that. Certain kinds
What?
of tuna called teratoma can cause your body to grow teeth and hair around it. When Eskimo babies have colds, their mother sucks the snot out of their nose with their mouth. Yummy. People who stay up at night are more likely to become psychopaths compared to those who sleep early. So please go to sleep now.
First of all, the fact that he just called. Forget what he said, man. He just had to call y'all ain't have no feet. Y'all got a girl right there, bro. And the fact that they said the mom sucks the snot out of the nose, the kid nose. That's like the completely different level. I never knew that was happening, man. The more you know.
What exactly is going on here? Why are these artists so comfortable with telling you guys that you're going to hell?
So let me explain something real quick. Before everybody starts screaming and saying, oh, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers enter the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it. I'm so sorry. You can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song a billion times and you didn't even know.
And then say you're still going to listen to their music anyway, so why even bring it up?
We bring up the people say like devil worshiper or anything. Like, how's the music? Because it'll be a motherfucker that'll be like, Boosie, get with God. And then I'll drop a song and like, damn.
Comment amen right now to ward off any evil spirits coming from these videos. And what's up with everybody doing this hand symbol? Like, this was never a trend. I never saw any of my friends doing this pose. What does it mean, and what are you trying to say? And I don't want to hear this just a pose. It's not like the peace sign. And check this out.
I was hitting a block, right? I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right? So I went in the corner, and then I was looking at the wall, and I was like, come on, devil, right? Come to me, because I had to do something, like, crazy, right? I had nightmares for a month.
So let me get this straight. You really need to call upon the devil in order to help you act better for a role. Again, we can't act oblivious like something weird isn't going on here. But let me know, am I tripping? Am I crazy? And make sure to follow because part 2 is about to get a lot more crazy.
Is there more to that theory, Seekers? He was bringing up very valid points, man. All the signs are pointing to it. We just gotta be able to see it.
NASA have just announced the discovery of an Earth-sized planet that they say could be habitable. It's called TOI 700e, fucking great name. It's 95% of Earth size, likely rocky, and it falls within what they call the Goldilocks habitable zone. This is apparently where the distance between the planet and the star that it orbits is at a perfect point that can sustain liquid water, meaning that the conditions could be just right for life to exist. So the question is this just overhyped, or is 2023 about to get
4 of the most horrifying things we've ever found on beaches. Number 1, a sack containing 54 severed human hands. I don't really know, I don't have words to describe how horrifying this is, and I could not imagine just finding a bag on the beach and opening it up and be like, oh look, human hands, but this happened in Siberia. Number 2, famine victims. Basically a bunch of human bones washed up onto a beach, and they were actually from something called a coffin ship, which were a bunch of ships that kind of left Ireland during the potato famine where everyone was starving to death and dying, and we found some human bones on a beach. Number 3, a dead sperm whale filled with plastic. Now that might not sound horrifying, but if you think about it, there's so much plastic in the ocean that it took down the largest toothed predator currently on our planet. That is horrifying that it is that present in our ocean and that deadly. For the Montauk Monster, people hypothesize that this deformed looking creature was everything from a chupacabra to the missing link, but basically it's just a really deformed raccoon. As horrifying as that looks, it's just literally a trash bin.
Man. I think the first one for that's a chilling story, bro. 54 human hands. Just imagine you just walking one day on the beach, bro, with your family, man. A bag washes up, you open it. It's full of human hands. How would you guys act? I mean, that much plastic in the water there, yeah, it took down the whole whale.
Disturbing facts you didn't want to hear, part 2. Many doctors say that the most common last words they hear are, I don't feel so good. Most laugh tracks you hear in TV shows were recorded in the 1950s, meaning that the people you hear laughing are probably dead. During the French Revolution, it was said that the guillotine had to be used multiple times to get the job done. The reason that planes shut off their lights right before they land is so that passengers' eyes can adjust to the dark just in case there's a crash. This is so if the power goes out during the crash landing, they can better find an escape route.
Whatever you do, do not answer this phone call. This is John Pork. Now, he's supposedly a CGI-generated influencer with an unsettling appearance. He seems to be half man, half swine. The creature posts videos of himself dancing and traveling around the world to popular tourist locations. But this is where things get scary. You see, John used to call everybody, but nobody would answer before he was sadly unalive. Yeah, John is no longer with us. He had went out for a night of fun and tragically was unalived. After this, people have been getting strange calls from a haunting contact that says John Pork. And if you answer, this is what happens. Before I tell you, I know this will look good, I'm sorry. I can't share. But here's what we're gonna do. Your fourth act has to make or buy you food for the rest of this month, since I made you suffer. Let me know who it is. Supposedly, if you answer the call of John Pork, you'll summon him from the dead, and at midnight, he'll appear.
I got called by John Pork?
These are facts that will make your skin crawl, part 1. Up first, did you know that women can actually give birth after death? It's extremely rare, but it's called coffin birth. Up next, everybody has definitely heard of the 5-second rule and probably applied it in your life at least once. But did you know in those 5 seconds, minor insects can still crawl on your food after you drop it on the floor, pick it up, and then eat it? Up next, if a black cat looks at you and then suddenly runs away, it means that something unusual is about to happen to you. So if this happened to you recently, then I recommend just staying in your room and not leaving. Finally, did you know that a cockroach can live 9 days without its head before it starves to death? This is absolutely crazy, and as weird as this sounds, I have to see it to believe it.
Me too, 9 days. The story to him, that's the only one that always comes back to mind where they said they lived a day without his head. But 9? I might be pushing it. I'll have to see that to believe it.
Truth Through Media Part 4. At the end of the Men in Black movie, they zoom out to show the viewers the immense size of the universe, and then show our universe within a marble, and a being throwing this marble, and then picking up our marble with our universe in it, and putting it in a bag full of other marbles. This was not by accident. Now, don't forget that scientists around the world are now disclosing, including NASA, that the universe is a living being and they're working to understand it. So really, we're small, puny creatures living inside or on a giant creature. Just like the cells in our body, how they have lives of their own, including the bacteria and viruses within us, we're the same in a way. But this is what I mean by science is working to understand it, because even people that channel extraterrestrials say that they don't even fully understand the life of this grand being. I think this is so cool because it doesn't just say that we live in a giant being, but that everything small is just a small version of something big. Now y'all see why I'm a nerd, right? This is me thinking. Really, we don't fully understand what this greater being is and how it lives and why we live with inside of it. All we know is that it exists.
Here are 3
That's
board games that
crazy
will
to think
actually
about.
terrify you, with number 1 being the scariest of the 3 games. At number 3, we have The Pony Factory. A machine from hell turns people into disgusting abominations that resemble horses. You have a nail gun and you have to take them out, but here's the catch. The game is dark and you can only either hold your flashlight or your gun at a time. Number 2 is The Prototype. You have to test a children's robotic toy and things start to go wrong. As you play, more of the story is revealed, and this is the part of the game that's actually scary. I won't spoil the story here, but I have a full playthrough of this game on my channel if you're interested. And at number 1, we have Slide in the Woods. Man, this game. You're in a park and you slide down the slide over and over again. But then the more times you go down the slide, the more things start to change in the world around you. Like at first it was daytime, and then all of a sudden it's night. And then once when you slide down, everything changes and it is terrifying. This game is free. Please try it out for yourself and go in blind.
Got China's Game Seekers. Whoa, what the hell? pictures that have different meanings.
Fun facts until the Orbeez overflow. If there was a zombie apocalypse, we'd be outnumbered 15-1. There was a chicken named Mike that lived for 18 months with no head. Yellowstone volcano would cover almost the entire country if it erupted, and it's well overdue. There's a brain-eating organism known as Naegleria fowleri that lives in lakes and rivers in southern United States. Only one man survived the electric chair, and he said death tastes like peanut butter. Ladybugs eat half their larvae to ensure the survival of the other half, like a natural Thanos. And it looks like I'm out of time. Follow for more fun facts.
Tap in, you're gonna learn with us, man.
So I found these
Blow your
conspiracy
mind.
theories that are so believable, they actually might be true.
Talk about
Number
it.
one, studies show that cats understand human commands but don't care to follow them. Yeah, I don't like cats. I'm a dog kind of guy. Number two, it is believed that when you die in a dream, you wake up because your brain doesn't know how to process the idea of what comes after death. Could be. I believe it. Number three,
I believe that
now
too.
this is scary. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you Googled Disney Frozen, you would get information about the movie and not the websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. I mean, I did see an article about this that was published in 1995. Not sure if this is true or not, but I do believe it. This is where it gets freaky. Number four, Mike Tyson's fight, Time Traveler. This fight was in 1995. If you look closely, you can see that that could be a smartphone. In fact, it does look like a smartphone to me. There were no smartphones in 1995. This is how phones used to look like in 1995. They didn't have cameras. They barely had any color. But this thing double flashed. Exactly like how an iPhone or an Android would take a picture. I don't know about time travel, but this is very interesting. I'd really like to know what this thing was. What's the creepiest conspiracy theory that you heard of?
That Mike Tyson one kind of got to me. I'm like, yeah, you saw the freaking flash going off and we saw the pictures of the phone, so how the hell did somebody have access to a phone like that? Time travel confirmed? And that Disney Frozen one got to me. That one surprised me at all, man, if that's the reason behind it. Big corporations want to distract us from the
Let's
truth.
talk about the terrifying lore surrounding the various creatures of the horror game Iron Lung. It's important to start with the fact that Iron Lung takes place entirely underneath the surface of a blood ocean on the moon. And this blood ocean is thought to be completely empty. However, it's not empty at all, and the first creature I want to talk about is this one right here. This is the one that burst through your ship at the very end of the game, but he's actually seen much earlier. So it's implied that he follows the path of your submarine through the entire game. Next is the most iconic moment of the game when you first see this eye on your camera. It belongs to a giant whale-like creature, but how do we know that? The giant whale skeletons on the surface of the blood ocean tell us that there might be many of these creatures, and this portal into the void gives us an idea of where they might be coming from.
Oh, okay. Not a scary game.
Hey, remember this nonsense, the Cheetah Gator? Yeah, this was real and there was a time where it was everyone's problem. Its actual name is the Auri Pasukas, and his hood is in what is now South America and Africa. And the memes are true. He was a land op, meaning he would run his prey down. Scientists believe the Auri Pasukas would have galloped after its prey. Luckily for everything around it, it was actually a mini-me that only grew to about 3 to 5 feet long, and it probably only ate small lizards, mammals, and dinosaur hatchlings. Now, if this guy pulled up on you, it would be a very different movie. Caprosuchus saharicus was a 23-foot middle finger with teeth that looked like it belonged to a feral pig, which is actually why they were nicknamed the boar croc. And unlike crocodiles today, whose eyes are at the top of their head, the Caprosuchus' eyes were more lateral. You might not realize it, but that's very bad, because instead of just hiding in the water with just its eyes above the surface, this assault weapon with teeth had binocular vision and depth perception, meaning not only was it catching bodies on land, it was probably chasing them down too. And unlike its smaller cousin, it probably clapped dinosaurs. And if Google was right, this 23-foot monster with boar jaws would have been almost as fast as Usain Bolt. They would have attacked you by slamming their snout into you like a sledgehammer. The only reason they're not around today is even nature knows when it's gone too far.
They had to delete him from Nation, man. It was getting too
Disturbing
OP.
story about Jeannie Wiley. The young girl seen in this photo's name is Jeannie Wiley, otherwise known as the feral child barely able to walk at 13. For her entire life, her father had abused her insanely viciously, keeping her in a makeshift straitjacket and tying her to a children's toilet in a locked room all day. And when she did anything or made any sound that he didn't like, he'd growl at her and bare his teeth like a dog. Under such brutal conditions, Wiley never learned how to walk or speak, which is actually just so inhumane. When this photo was taken of her after she was rescued and taken to a hospital, her life inside a series of abusive institutions was only beginning. Today, Jeannie Wiley lives in an adult foster care home somewhere in Southern California. Nobody knows about her present condition, but in 2000, somebody hired a private investigator to find her, and they described her as kind of happy.
She was kind of happy in the
Did
end,
you know
man.
people who stay up late and get up late are more likely to become psychopaths? Hello, and here's some creepy facts. Most laugh tracks and shows are from people in the 50s, which means you are hearing the laughter of dead people. If you wake up between 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. for no apparent reason, there's a 90% chance something was staring at you. Lack of sleep will shrink your brain. 70% of your dreams contain hidden meanings. On average, people escape death about 6 times through their life without knowing it. You're always 6 minutes away from death, but breathing resets the clock. Your body is the weakest between 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. as this is the time most people die in their sleep. If you shiver for no reason, then it means a spirit is passing near you. Heartbreak is a real thing known as broken heart syndrome, and the symptoms are similar to a heart attack. Your phone has a very tiny camera that watches your every move. Every time you sneeze, you skip a heartbeat.
Whoa. When you sneeze, you skip a
Let's talk about a disturbing entity in Silent Hill that blurs the line between an angel and a demon. Valtiel. Valtiel's name basically means God's servant, and that's exactly what he does. Throughout the entirety of Silent Hill 3, he follows Heather Mason everywhere, just watching and waiting. But what exactly is he waiting for? Remember, Valtiel is a being that serves God, and the antagonists in Silent Hill 3 are trying to resurrect God by using Heather Mason. So every time the player dies in Silent Hill 3, Valtiel drags Heather Mason off screen and revives her. And at the end of the game, when Heather Mason gets rid of the god growing inside of her, Valtiel steps in and forces the ritual to happen anyway, which births a disfigured version of God. There are also some theories that Valtiel may be related to Pyramid Head in some way, but I'm not too sure about that after researching.
Silent Hill 3 games, man, they're based off of some dark
These are
stuff.
8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today.
Whoa.
The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
I can't believe you put a tooth in the eye. It restores your sight, man. How come more people, we haven't heard about this more?
What is the scariest game you've ever played? I get this question almost every time I post a video or stream. And even though I've probably played well over 100 horror games, it's probably something like Dead Space, Outlast, or PT, right? It's actually something you might not have heard of. The scariest game I've ever played is a game called Lost in Vivo. But what makes this game so terrifying? Lost in Vivo takes inspiration from many different horror classics and puts them into one horrifying package. Every different type of scare you can imagine is in this game. It's also one of the only horror games I've ever played that gets scarier the longer you play. If you're not someone that gets scared easily, give this one a try.
You just combined everything into one. I ain't into scary games like that, though. That ain't me. That was a creepy
This is one of the most disturbing stories in video game history. Let's talk about the story behind Resident Evil's most tragic character, Lisa Trevor.
Okay.
Our story starts before the events of Resident Evil 1. Lisa Trevor was the daughter of George and Jessica Trevor. George was a big architect in charge of building the Spencer Mansion. And when the family is invited to the mansion to celebrate after its completion, the daughter and mother are kidnapped. They're each given different strains of the progenitor virus that causes their body to go through horrible mutations. Eventually, the mother, Jessica Trevor, is executed after these experiments are deemed a failure. But Lisa is responding well to the virus, and they keep her there for a long time, performing experiment after experiment on her. She was barely even human anymore after all the testing, so they decided to get rid of her. But they couldn't. At this point, Lisa Trevor's regenerative abilities were so great that she was virtually invincible. She would later escape into the Arklay Mountains to live a life of despair and solitude until she met her end in Resident Evil 1.
Damn, those are you beginning to have some dark backstories to each character.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
This girl got cut
What are they here
into
for,
1,000
then?
pieces, and this is a massive trigger warning. On January 19th, 1996, the mutilated remains of Diao Aquin, who disappeared 9 days prior, were found across multiple locations in China. Her body had been dismembered into over 2,000 pieces. The case remains unsolved, and it's one of the most notorious crimes in Chinese history. On January 10th, 1996 in the evening, Diao and her college roommate were punished for the illegal use of an electric appliance. After a conflict with the dormitory management, she left the building and did not return. Diao was last seen alive wearing a red coat with a black lining. She was reported missing, but her family was not notified by the authorities until January 19th. The discovery of Diao's remains in the winter of January 19th was first reported by a sanitary worker. Initially, he thought it was pork, so he brought it home for food. And while preparing the meat for himself, 3 human fingers were found in it. The worker then reported the discovery to the police, and they confirmed they were human fingers. Human remains in plastic wrapped packages were eventually discovered across 8 locations around the university, including at a stadium, entrance gate, hospital, and along roadsides. The police later confirmed that the scattered remains were of Diao's and informed her father to visit Beijing. Between January 20th and 30th, Diao's head and clothes were found. More than 2,000 human remains were recovered. Diao's head and internal organs were boiled for several days. Crucial organs including the heart, liver, and spleen were never found. The forensics team was only able to identify the remains as belonging to a female through the analysis of body hair and muscle tissue. Relatives of Diao were able to identify her through a mole on her right cheek. A senior officer involved in the case described the killing as really cruel, which in my opinion is a nice way to put it. The officer also added that the pieces of flesh were dissected with high precision, only achieved by an individual with great understanding of anatomy. Police concluded that the murderer must have been a professional butcher or surgeon. Teachers and students then became the subject of investigation. 2 suspect profiles were brought up, including a single physical fit middle-aged male. However, the university department could not find any individuals that matched the characteristics of the profile. A major investigation was launched in the university and the areas around, but no major clues of the crime were found and the case failed to make any progress. In 2016, Nanjing police told the family of Diao that the case is still under investigation. Okay, so let's talk about this case for a second. If the killer was never found and he had the skill to dissect somebody into 2,000 pieces and never get caught with it, don't you think he might be a serial killer? And if he was, how many more people do you think he murdered after Diao? The dedication and skill, and honestly the obsession to cut somebody into 2,000 pieces and not get caught with it is crazy. This person could be walking around the streets of China to
made a cage for his head to stop smoking. He then gave his wife the keys and only she could open it during meals. The man's name is Ibrahim Yücel. He is a Turkish man. He was smoking 2 packs daily for 26 years and decided he wanted to stop one day. So he built a homemade cage out of copper. In my opinion, this thing looks like a torture device. And he didn't just wear this at home. He wore this outside, going to work, running his errands. He was dedicated to stop smoking. He started doing this in 2013, and I believe he is still doing this to this day. The only thing he could get through the cage was a straw from a bottle of water and maybe some crackers. He designed it in a way that you couldn't even sneak a cigarette inside there. He definitely knew he would be having withdrawals and planned this accordingly. Down here is a picture of his wife unlocking the cage for him, and over here is more of a close-up photo of the cage. And then here's a picture of him with the cage off right here. He's talking on the phone. I'm assuming he's having a meal and he's just chatting away. But honestly, props to him. If it works, it works. I'm not sure if I have any followers from Turkey, but if I do, let me know if you've seen this guy around. And let me know what you think about this story.
Weird facts.
Have you seen that before?
If you're coughing uncontrollably, just raise your hands above your shoulder and it will stop. Did you know that TikTok doesn't let you type Area 51? When crossing the street at night, turn on your phone's flashlight and point it toward oncoming traffic. If you think you're being followed, turn right 4 times, since you'll get to the same place they shouldn't be following you anymore. If they do, you might be in trouble. Don't walk down the stairs with hands in your pockets. If you type your big forehead, you get a warning. Blue color attracts mosquitoes and 2 times more than any other. Strawberries can also be white and yellow. Some even can taste like pineapples. You can't unalive yourself by holding your breath. If you search these coordinates on Google Maps, you will find a man dragging a body. Follow for more.
Really?
Nobody in the entire world can visit this island. Okay, so majority of Americans don't know about the Forbidden Island in Hawaii that is owned by one single family and nobody could visit. The island is called Niihau, and it's extremely different from anything else in the United States. There is only a population of 70 people, and they have no access to paved roads, telephone service, no running water, and the majority of the island lives off welfare checks from the US government. And with such harsh living conditions, it makes you wonder why anybody would even live on this island. And the real question is, if there's nothing to hide here, why can't anybody visit? Well, this rule that doesn't allow any outsiders onto the island was actually written into the agreement by the natives when they sold it to the Robinson family, all the way back in 1864.
Way back.
The Robinson family bought the island for $10,000 in gold, which is $325,000 today. And the crazy thing is that this family still owns the island. The Robinsons are also very focused on preserving the Hawaiian culture on this island that the natives did, so they go to church every Sunday, banned long hair for men, and kept the official Hawaiian language. But my whole opinion on this island is that if nobody can visit there and there's only 70 people on it, there's gotta be some crazy stuff going on there, right? There's just no way these 70 people are just completely normal living on this isolated island that nobody could visit. Let me know your thoughts on this, and also let me know if you've ever heard of this.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There's a 1 in 3 chance police will never identify your killer if you were murdered in the United States. If the sun exploded now, you wouldn't know about it for another 8 minutes. 20% of children report hearing voices. There are 40 supervolcanoes around the world capable of claiming 1 billion lives. And we are about 24,000 years overdue for an eruption. The air you breathe in train stations is 15% human skin. There are over 200 dead bodies on top of Mount Everest, because retrieving them is such a risk. They serve as markers for other hikers. When you die, your house cat is going to want to eat you. Speaking of pets, dogs like squeaky toys because they mimic the screams of their prey. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 2.
I know why my dog loves the squeaky toy so much. I never knew that. Be careful when you buy your squeaky toys for your dogs now.
Insane true stories of now.
Morbid facts about Mike Tyson, Part 2. While visiting a zoo in the late 1980s, Tyson noticed an alpha silverback gorilla bullying all the others. He offered the zookeeper 10 grand to open the gorilla cage so that he could go in there and smash that silverback's snot box. Luckily for the gorilla, the worker declined the offer. Here's a 1997 photo of Las Vegas police facing Mike Tyson after he'd just bitten off the ear of Evander Holyfield. Tyson claimed he was in a primal blacked out state and literally wanted to kill his opponent. Mike had 6 biological children, but his little girl Exodus tragically died when she was only 4 years old. In 2009, Exodus was playing on a treadmill when she accidentally died from strangulation after falling and catching her neck on a power cord. 3 years after signing with Don King, Tyson didn't even know that he had a fan club. When he finally went there, he found a letter from a woman asking if Tyson could call her dying little boy. Tyson immediately called, hung up, cursed out Don King, then started to cry. He said that the call was 1 year too late.
If you were someone that...
Man, those freaking facts about Mike Tyson. He went through a lot in his life, man. Because you guys know what happened between that Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. How some people said they kind of didn't live up to the hype, but I guess he did what he needed to do, man. I guess to get that money.
You know has small children, please watch this video until the end because it could save their life. Basically, Bobby baby pillows are being recalled after suffocating 8 children to their end. What happened was that these 8 children were laid down to sleep on these pillows and woke up lifeless. The recall includes the original, preferred, and Pottery Barn Kids Bobby baby pillows, and if you own any of these, you can take them to a local store for a refund. These are being recalled all the way back from 2004 to September of this year, so if you own any of these from any of those years, you might be at risk. So please, never put any babies or young children to sleep in any of these, and if you know anyone with young children, please send them this video so they don't miss this life-saving information.
That's insane.
Give you hope. This woman swept out to sea while at the beach was rescued after 37 hours of drifting over 50 miles in an inflatable swim ring. Overdoses have decreased for the first time in over 5 years. This stranger saved a 4-year-old from a flying puck at a hockey game. Every country has now banned the use of leaded gasoline in cars, with Algeria being the last one a couple years ago. Bruno was able to get a fresh start and a new life after 473 days in a shelter. A study of over 2 million people found that eating cheese is healthy for aging because of the lower stress that you experience in life. The amount of sugar consumed by kids in the United Kingdom halved in 1 year after a sugar tax was introduced. Scientists have developed a glowing dye that sticks to cancer cells, which helps scientists prevent cancer from coming back. This nearly extinct pupfish has hit a 25-year high with their population. There are less than 200 of them in one single cave in the Mojave Desert of Nevada.
Here are 3 real ways to survive Ohio. The land of Ohio is a mysterious pocket dimension located within the continental United States that is widely regarded as being one of the most dangerous places known to man. With that being said, the easiest way to guarantee your survival of this state is to simply avoid visiting it altogether. This should be a relatively easy task since no one actually lives in Ohio. Remember, if you think you have family or friends to visit there, that's just the demons whispering in your ear, and those thoughts should be ignored entirely. Secondly, if you do somehow wind up in this desolate place, remember to ignore the locals at all costs. Their lonely state might inspire you to take pity on them and engage them in conversation, but be warned, if you speak to them, you will become as they are. Finally, above all else, you'll need to try and keep moving at all times in one direction. Time and space work differently in the state of Ohio, and it may feel like you've been walking in circles for hours or even days. But remember, every step that you take is a step closer to freedom. Leave a comment if you're enjoying this series, and if you know anyone from Ohio, tag them. It might help them escape.
Any of you guys know anybody from Ohio? I don't know. LeBron James, man. That's I know it comes from Ohio, but I guess this TikTok, bro, wants us to avoid it, man. And because they be Ohio, Skippity Riz, Gyat, whatever, man. I think it originated there, bro. Oh, man, those TikToks, bro. Probably crazy, man, in Ohio, bro. Imagine walking down the street, somebody yelling, "Gyat skibbity," bro. Oh, man. Interesting. Where's it at? They brought like a whole setup.
Did you know that Art the Clown played the Grinch in a horror movie? Yes, there is a horror slasher version of the Grinch, and it's called The Mean One. The story follows Cindy Lou Who after the Grinch kills her parents, and she grows up and she decides that she's going to make it her life's mission to kidnap the Grinch and to kill him for what he did to her. And Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton, plays the horror version of the Grinch, the mean one, and he brings so much personality to the character even through all of the paint and prosthetics. Like, look at these cool shot comparisons. This is the original Grinch, and here we have the horror version of the Grinch. The Mean One is definitely considered a horror comedy, so keep that in mind if you choose to watch it. It's also extremely bloody and extremely silly, which I feel like you would expect. My favorite part of the movie is when Cindy Lou Who, as a child, is being interviewed by cops to try to get an idea of what this guy looks like. The sketch artist draws the little girl's description and then in all seriousness is like, "Sweetie, is this what he looked like?" It's really funny that David Howard Thornton has gotten to play a horror version of Santa as Art the Clown, and he's also gotten to be a horror version of the Grinch. Pretty cool.
Why you should always respect Mother Nature.
You should, of course, never do what this guy did in that video, and viewer discretion advised for this one because there's no happy ending here. The man in the video that I showed you is 28-year-old Jacob Cockle.
Jacob's passion was surfing and pretty much anything ocean related, so he felt like the water was his element. This is likely why Jacob thought he would be able to best a whirlpool when it came to swimming by it. Initially, when Jacob jumped into the whirlpool, nothing went wrong. There were about 28 minutes of footage of him floating around on top, and this is because he had the safety of a wetsuit. Wetsuits trap a lot of air, they're very buoyant, and they're made out of neoprene. This particular whirlpool was not strong enough to take Jacob down when he's floating on the surface. However, Jacob made a grave mistake. At one point or another, Jacob decided that it would be a good idea to dive underwater to get more footage. This caused the buoyancy of his suit to drop, and the whirlpool became strong enough and sucked him down. Jacob was unfortunately not able to escape from the whirlpool's grasp.
Photos with disturbing backstories.
Stay out the water, man. Photos tell a story every single time, man. That's why I always pay attention to them, bro. That's the edit. She do that. We expert level now, bro.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
Cover your camera on your phone, bro. You go to sleep.
Myths you still believe about Canada. Canadians see snow year-round. Well, the truth is that though the winters can be harsh, most of the country's population experiences summers that can make a Californian sweat. Most Canadians live near the Canada-US border and thus experience similar weather to what you'd expect in places like Boston or New York. Toronto is the capital of Canada. Well, Toronto does have the largest population and is probably the most famous Canadian city, but it's actually Ottawa, another Ontario city, that's the capital. As the center of political power, Queen Victoria chose Ottawa to be Canada's capital on December 31st, 1857. It was determined that with its location being on the border between Canada East and Canada West, its excellent defensive position and its access to 2 different rivers to cross the country in either direction, Ottawa was the perfect city for the title.
Skinwalker
okay.
On camera.
The hell is that?
Please pardon the interruption. At this time, we are going to ask that students and staff proceed to conduct an internal lockdown. I repeat, this is not a drill. Please proceed to internal lockdown. 911 has been called. Remain in internal lockdown until instructed otherwise by a uniformed officer.
Okay, guys, I need everybody right away. Back corner and down, please.
In Ohio too, what the hell?
No cell phones?
Get as close to the wall as you can, crowd it together. Marcus, get this way. Get this way. Get away from the window. Davis, hurry up. Get away from the window. Press up to these desks. Hurry up. Guys, grab these desks.
Where's Skinwalker at?
Feminine things that were originally made for men. In Persia, men wore high heels to protect their feet. Then the Europeans looked and said, let's use them too, but they did it to show that they were rich, powerful, and masculine. In their culture, the higher the heel, the more masculine you were. Bags were also made exclusively for men. This is the oldest bag ever found made for men. It is entirely decorated with dog teeth because that was the fashion of the time. A system very similar to the disposable pads we have today was originally used in World War I to stop soldiers from bleeding. That That's when a nurse noticed and thought, we can put this in our underwear, and we no longer need to use rags as pads. Skirts were originally worn by men throughout the history of the world.
A killer clown.
I never knew that. Our reality's blown wide open. If you would have said high heels were made for men first, I wouldn't have believed you. We learning today.
Clown was just released from prison in Florida. This case dates back to May 26, 1990, when 40-year-old Marlene Warren opened her front door. In front of her was a clown holding balloons and a basket of flowers. Marlene stated, "How nice," before the clown fatally shot her in the mouth, then calmly walked away. Authorities suspected 26-year-old Sheila Keene for years, who was having an affair with the victim's husband, Michael. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough evidence to convict her. 12 years later, Michael and Sheila wed in Las Vegas, moved to Tennessee, and started running this burger joint called the Purple Cow. They lived happily as if nothing happened, and Sheila even had the audacity to dress up as a clown one year. But in 2014, Florida authorities received a grant that allowed them to reopen the case. Advances in DNA technology allowed them to test a brown hair at the crime scene. It belonged to Sheila Keene, who was finally arrested in 2017 and pleaded not guilty. But after 7 years in jail, prosecutors gave her a deal in April of 2023. In exchange for pleading guilty to second-degree murder, she received a 12-year sentence. A Florida law allowed credit for good behavior, and that is why she was released on November 2nd of this year.
Here's a test to see if you or someone you know has thalassophobia. Thalassophobia is the fear of deep or open water. Starting off at level 1, we have this image, and if you look at the baby's feet, you can see there's nothing. And that's what freaks people out, the fact that you can't see anything but feel like there's something watching you from below. If this freaked you out, don't watch the rest, because level 2 is even worse. Level 2, we have a person falling into a huge open body of water. And to make it worse, there's some sort of squid-like creature right in the corner. At level 3, we have the worst one yet. A person floating above a huge snake-like creature that we have no idea how big it is. And if you made it this far, congrats. Make sure you send this to a friend to see if they can pass the test and hit the follow button for more.
Maps that will change the way you see the world. This map shows if your county has a McDonald's or not. If you're in a red county on this map, then you do not have a McDonald's, and there are 793 counties without them. This map shows the average weekly grocery bill across each state in the United States. Wisconsin has the lowest because Midwest states have the most farming around them. Hawaii and Alaska are the highest because of their isolation from the mainland food production. This map shows how fertility rates have decreased across the entire United States over the last 20 years. Louisiana had a tiny 0.3% decrease, while Utah had an over 30% decrease in fertility. This map shows the most common transportation methods in the United States to get to work. Most people in the United States are in a green county where it is driving alone. Orange counties are where people walk the most, yellow counties are where people take taxis or motorcycles more, and the red counties are public transportation counties, which is just San Francisco and New York City.
How y'all get to work, bro? Walk, driving, public transportation. I walk, bro. I'm a walker.
Everybody's talking about this new horror movie. It's awesome. Let's watch. I haven't watched it tonight. This movie is so scary. I promise.
This is a serial killer you haven't heard of and has more victims than Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, and Jeffrey Dahmer combined. The Sunday morning slasher. Carl Eugene Watts targeted mostly young, attractive women walking alone in the dark. He would stab, slash, strangle, and drown them. Watts told a psychiatrist that they had evil eyes. And it wasn't enough to murder these women, he had to kill their spirits too, by burning personal items or tossing them in a sewer. His first victim was 19-year-old Gloria Steele, a mother and college student who was stabbed 33 times in her apartment. Michigan authorities knew he was responsible for dozens of murders, but they never had enough evidence to convict him. In 1982, Watts fled to Texas and resumed his murders, killing at least 12 more, including the youngest victim, 14-year-old Emily Lacroix. Now let's get to the moment he was finally caught. On May 23, 1982, Carl Watts choked Lori Lister until she was unconscious and dragged her up the apartment steps. He used her keys to open the door and came face to face with Lori's roommate, Melinda Aguilar. Melinda was choked by Carl Watts as well, but this time she pretended to black out. He bound her hands behind her back and put her in a separate bedroom, while he filled up a bathtub where he planned to drown Lori Lister. With her hands still bound behind her back, Melinda quietly locked the bedroom. She yelled at a woman who was drinking coffee outside to call police. Unfortunately, Texas prosecutors offered immunity to Watts for the 13 murders he confessed to, in exchange for a 60-year sentence. Oddly enough, he was almost released from prison in 2006, but Michigan authorities were able to convict him of 2 murders before that could happen, and he died in prison in 2007 from prostate cancer.
Creepy facts that'll give you nightmares. When
justice.
anglerfish mate, the male literally fuses itself into the female and the two live together as one fish for the rest of their lives. I'm kinda concerned as to how we know this, but if you feed a human body to pigs, they eat every last bit of it. There's a place near Mexico City called the Island of the Dolls. This place is home to thousands of dolls that are there to honor a girl who drowned in the 1950s. Many people say that this place is one of the most haunted places on Earth. And finally, this is Mike the Chicken. After Mike's head got chopped off, he somehow managed to live a full year and a half.
Based off of a real crime that took place in a Chuck E. Cheese in 1983. One night in 1983, right before close, a 19-year-old man snuck and hid into the bathroom until he knew the doors were locked. There were 5 staff members on that night. 1 manager that was in her office, 2 crew members that were in the kitchen cleaning, and 2 crew members that were in the party room cleaning. Once he knew the doors were locked, then he started his spree, where he walked into the party room unaliving those 2 staff members, then making his way into the kitchen to do the same. While all of this unfolded, the manager is watching this on the security cameras. Before she was able to do anything though, he was already in the office, forcing her to open the safe and unaliving her as well. He was then apprehended by the police and sentenced to death, but his sentencing is still on hold to this day.
Wow, really? I never knew Five Nights at Freddy's was based off that.
This couple ended up seeing each other in jail, and it's kind of funny, just watch.
Play sucks! Alright, here we go. This one is you all.
This is a no swearing zone.
Shut up.
What's your first name?
I don't have.
You don't have one? I need you to stand up.
Oh,
Stand up.
yes, ma'am.
Stand right
I'm
here.
standing.
Anything sharp on you? Any guns? Weapons?
Everything. I have it all. I'm going to murder you.
Anything underneath the hair?
Everything. I need a lawyer right now. Does anyone know?
All right.
Can I explain something to you?
Don't you ever explain anything to me.
Can I ask you questions?
Never.
Why not?
Use a medical?
I'm refusing everything. Shut the up. You too.
Hey, do you know?
And you know something?
It hurts.
You're a
hard.
jerk. You. Yeah. Leave the court. We are going.
You think she's gonna make it?
Are you gonna marry me now? I'll marry you whenever I get out of my stress. If we get out of our stress together, maybe we can get together. I'll give you a kiss before I leave. Oh, don't you want to kiss me before I was wrapped up? I ain't gonna make you happy, bitch, because you know why? I ain't happy myself, alright? That's the way it is. Oh, well.
She was really asking him if he was gonna marry her yet, but they did have a pretty real conversation.
He said, "No, thank you. That ain't for me, bro."
There was one question that this man, Jason Crawford, wouldn't answer when he called 911 to say, "My wife's been shot outside of our home in Coleman, Alabama." Just one question. And I bet it's the same question you would ask. Who shot her? The dispatcher asked that 3 times, but Jason Crawford never responded. Now, there's no physical evidence directly pointing to the fact that Jason shot her. No fingerprints, no DNA, nothing. You're going to hear from a juror on the case against Jason. State of Alabama versus Jason Crawford. That juror is going to take you into the deliberation room, and she's going to tell you how they asked to hear that 911 call again. After the trial, they wanted to go over the 911 call one more time, and listening back to it, and it's not very long, they heard one thing different than what I just told you. One thing that when they heard it back again, they were like, ah! In fact, the juror slammed her hand on the table and said, "That's it." And at that point, the jury walked out with a verdict. You'll see it all Saturday night on CBS, 48 hours, also streaming on Paramount+.
Let me guess. Guilty.
If your name's Jessica and you live in northern Colorado, I need you to check your voicemail right away because I have your checkbook. My wife thinks we're having an affair and I don't know how to fix it.
So I'm scrolling TikTok late night, come across a video where the algorithm is getting way too close to home. My name's Jessica. I live in northern Colorado. I never answer my phone. I never listen to voicemails. I very rarely respond to text messages. So I'm watching this last night, laughing, and then I decide, hey, let's go ahead and check my voicemail. So I check my voicemail, and sure enough, here this is.
This is kind of strange, but I was cleaning out my car with my husband and came across a checkbook with your name on it. And I'm not quite sure what's in my car, and I'd like to return it to you if it's yours. So if you could give me a call back.
So after listening to that, I immediately thought I was hallucinating on my weed gummy. And after listening to it a few more times, realized that it was real. So we stayed up way too late, spent countless hours laughing hysterically at all of the comments, thinking about all the ways that we could fan the flames of this amazing situation that we found ourselves in, wreak absolute havoc on both of our relationships. Then realized that you're sitting with the upper hand. You can very easily sell my information on the dark web, write some checks. So let's get this figured out. All right, so we have an update while I was filming this. We have been in touch, found out that our kids go to the same elementary school. We still don't know how the checkbook got into the car. We're gonna meet up later today so I can get my checkbook back and hopefully try to figure out what happened. Thanks, guys.
Oh, she was about to get finessed, bro. The little kid took it.
This paramedic unknowingly treated her own 17-year-old daughter after a horrific car accident left her unrecognizable. At around 4:30 p.m. on November 15th of last year, paramedic Jamie Erickson was called to the scene of a crash just north of Calgary. A car lost control on an icy stretch of road and was hit by an oncoming truck. The driver of the car was injured but able to get out, but sadly, the girl in the passenger seat was trapped inside with serious injuries. They were so horrific that she was unrecognizable. Jamie was the first one on scene and was able to get inside of the car and treat and comfort the girl until she was extricated. The girl was then airlifted to a hospital where she sadly later died of her injuries. Upon leaving the scene, Jamie expressed her sadness to her partner that it was likely that someone would be losing their daughter due to the girl's injuries. At this point, Jamie's shift was over and she headed home, but once there, she was greeted by the RCMP. And unfortunately, they told her that the unrecognizable girl in the crash was actually her 17-year-old daughter, Montana. That day, Montana was coming home from a dog walk with one of her friends when the crash occurred. Montana was Jamie's only child, and she was described as a firecracker who was really successful at everything she did. She loved swimming and wanted to be a lawyer when she grew up. According to Jamie, Montana was able to give one final gift, which was organ donation, and because of that, she saved the lives of 2 people. I've attached the GoFundMe for the Erickson family in my bio. The family has served as advanced care paramedics for nearly 30 years, so I think it's the least we can do to either share or donate to the GoFundMe to give them the time to heal and recover from this horrible loss.
Man, that's such a sad story. She was so unrecognizable, her mom didn't even know. That's one of the saddest stories we heard yet, man.
Now I got tagged in this video, so I'm here to explain who this is exactly. The man you see on screen is named Dennis Nilsen. He was born in Scotland, November 23rd, 1945. Now as a kid, he had a pretty rough childhood. His parents would constantly argue and his father never spent time with him. Eventually, his parents both divorced and his mother ended up marrying somebody who Dennis didn't like. The only person he would really connect with was his grandfather. Now his grandfather was a fisherman, so he would go next to the ocean to go wait for his father for hours just so he could spend time with him. This all sadly came to an end when his grandfather suffered a heart attack and died. At this point, Dennis had no closure and he had lost the only person that he really connected with. As Dennis got older, he started having sexual desires much like any other kid. However, he thought that he was a homosexual. This was because he found his other friends attractive. This also led to him molesting his older brother while he slept. Eventually, Dennis would join the military for a total of 11 years, and this is where he started his desires to kill people. While in the military, he became a very heavy drinker. And he would also fantasize of his friends taking advantage of him while he was drunk. He would pretend he was drunk and actually try to get his friends to take advantage of him. These fantasies then turned into him taking advantage of his friends while they were drunk or dead. In 1972, he cut off communication with his whole family. This was because it came to light that he was a homosexual, and his older brother exposed him of being a homosexual and what he did to him in his sleep. This made Dennis really lonely, and he tried seeking for a relationship with other men, but this failed. In 1973, he took up a job as a security guard, and he would keep this job up until his arrest. Dennis would spend most of his time heavily drinking in clubs and going to gay bars for men. In 1978, that's when he started his killing spree. He would lure gay men to his apartment, promising them more alcohol and or drugs. A number of men actually went with him, and about 15 didn't make it out. He would choke his victims either with his bare hands or with a cable. Other times he would drug his victims and then take advantage of their bodies by bathing them and then performing sexual acts with it. He would then dissect the bodies, dismember them, and then hide them under his floorboards. He would also boil the bodies until the skin fell off, and he was just left with a big pot of watery skin and muscle. This substance would then be flushed down the toilet. Another way he would dispose of the bodies is that he would light a bonfire late at night, and that's where he would burn the bodies to dispose of the evidence. There was also times where Dennis's victims would almost get away from him. A man with epilepsy actually stumbled out of his apartment and collapsed in front of Dennis's building. Dennis then told him that his medication made his legs wobbly, and then he took the man to his apartment. Now, instead of drugging him, killing him, and strangling him, he called an ambulance for the guy. Soon the guy got better and went back to Dennis's apartment to thank him. Dennis invited him in and then strangled him and killed him. Pretty soon the residents in his building would notice a severe issue with the plumbage, so they called the state agent to investigate what was causing the clog in the drains. Funny enough, Dennis was the person who called the agency. They found out that human remains were clogging every single drain. I'm talking clunks of hair, skin, rotten flesh. It smelled nasty, and this eventually led up to Dennis Nilsen's arrest in 1983. He confessed to over 15 murders, and he was sentenced to life in prison. He died on May 12, 2018 at the age of 72. Like and follow for more.
That was dark, bro.
What's up, y'all? I'm back with another banger, back with another video. This is such a sad, sad story, y'all. Honestly, this story broke my heart. Listening to it, looking at it, it could have been avoided. This man lost his life for no reason. This is Jeremy and Khadijah Brown. They're both married. Yesterday on Facebook, Khadijah made a post around about 8:30 something that morning saying that Jeremy was bisexual. Then about an hour later, y'all, she goes live on Facebook, her and her mom, basically talking shit about Jeremy. I got the video. Let me show y'all.
Yeah, people want to have something to say, but he ain't here with his kids. He ain't helping. He left at 6:00. He left at 6:06 to go be with his mama. Instead of church.
So that was a video basically of her and her mama basically talking shit about Jeremy. Now, y'all, the crazy part about this is this whole time he is there at the house while they talking shit about him. And also their kids are around. So not only are they talking shit about him, but they are degrading him in front of his kids and in front of his face, which is sad as fuck. She basically goes on to start arguing with Jeremy about not cooking the kids breakfast, saying how he don't do this and how he don't do that. But you on Facebook Live. If you can get on live, you can cook breakfast for your kids. I don't see what's the big deal or why you trying to start with him.
Preach.
Then y'all on the live, she starts to put her hands on him. They start to go back and forth. He really tells her that he's not trying to go back and forth with her and that he's just trying to leave. She refuses to let him leave. He tells her again to keep her hands off of him, and I guess he swiped her hand or pushed her or something. He also was on the phone with a family member or a friend so that they can be a witness to what was going on. Y'all, she starts to act big and bad. Of course, her mom is in the background, hyping her up, hyping her up. Now, y'all, I will tell y'all that this next clip that I'm about to post is very, very sensitive. So as y'all can see in that clip, he's clearly trying to not be confrontational with her at all, and she's consistently starting with him. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all this part. Later on in the video, she starts to tell him, oh, I'll beat your ass, I'll do all these things to you, and threaten him. She then goes and gets a gun and starts to yell out, murder scene, her exact words, y'all. I'm going to post a clip of that part, but I don't know how much more of it is going to let me post. Y'all, this is sensitive content. If you cannot view it, just keep strolling. Please do not report my video. So as y'all can hear in that clip, she basically continued to put her hands on him, and she went and got a gun and basically threatened his life and was making real big ass threats in the video on live.
Yep.
I know this video long, but y'all stay with me. In the next 45-50 seconds, you will hear in the video that the gun goes off. This is sensitive content, guys. Please listen. That part of the video was so hard for me. But as y'all can hear, they screaming in the background, the mama screaming. All of a sudden, now you want peace and y'all need to stop this. But you was just instigating this in the background. Now, Jeremy done lost his life over something stupid. And now Khadijah talking about it was an accident. How was it was an accident when you were saying, oh, I'm finna kill you, bitch. Murder scene, excuse my language. Don't ban my video, TikTok. But, yeah, all of this could have been avoided. I just want to know, do y'all think she going to go to jail? She going to get charged? Do y'all think that they going to cut her some slack because they feel like it was an accident? I don't think that it was an accident. And honestly, I feel like she need to get everything that she deserves. He even told the kids before all of this happened that he loved them. Y'all, after that part of the video, the kids was like, my daddy. They seen him laying lifeless in a pool of blood. In front of the kids, dog. That's just crazy. This whole story was just so sad.
She was just saying nothing but the truth. Truly. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, thank you guys for seeking the truth with me today. Make sure you guys comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.